once. A handwritten letter carried the weight of its author's presence in every smudge and hesitation. Now we simulate those imperfections with digital filters to mimic intimacy that never existed. Roland Barthes described this as punctum, the tiny detail that anchors an image in truth. AI now replicates these details with surgical precision, replacing lived experience with algorithmic mimicry. In the early days of photography, grain and exposure marks were proof that something had actually been there. The camera caught light in a way no painting could fake, until software learned to simulate every speck of dust on a digital sensor. Authenticity was once bound to physical media. Now it's just another layer we can copy, paste into the illusion. Even our voices are not safe anymore. We begin to sense something's off when the fakery becomes too perfect. When a photo is too real, or a voice lacks the tiny stutters of natural speech. The illusion cracks because authenticity once relied on being slightly flawed, like handwriting that reveals personality in its unevenness. Now, AI smooths out all friction, leaving us grasping for ghosts in a world where every trace of human touch can be erased. Instagram filters and Midjourney prompts don't just edit images. They simulate the soul of analog photography, selling a nostalgic illusion as authenticity itself. People pay for AI. Generated flaws because we've been conditioned to trust imperfection over perfections. The grain on your digital portrait isn't a technical accident. It's a calculated aesthetic that mimics human touch in order to bypass algorithmic suspicion and appeal directly to our subconscious need for something real. What was once the byproduct rather than an organic state? Voice modulation tools take this even further. AI can mimic your voice, clone a late relative's speech patterns, or generate convincing deepfakes of political figures, each sold to users as a tool for creativity or connection, while quietly normalizing the illusion of presence. We no longer need people to be present. We just need their performance to be convincing. The result is an economy where trust is not earned through experience, but engineered via algorithmic mimicry.
The earliest computers were not merely machines, but paradigm shifts. Mechanizing logic through punch cards and relays laid the groundwork for modern computation, revealing humanity's ability.
The early dream of artificial intelligence was that machines could think, not just simulate thought. Researchers like Marvin Minsky and John McCarthy promised silicon minds, systems with beliefs as rich and layered as our own. But their claims collapsed under a simple question. What does it mean to believe? In a way, they redefined the word itself. Shrinking belief down to action, data points in a loop. The deeper problem was this. By claiming machines could think, we stopped asking if they were pretending. In the quiet of a lab or lecture hall, these pioneers spoke with conviction. Their voices calm, their logic tidy, like they were building something real, rather than redefining reality itself. The footage shows them smiling as lines of code scroll past on green monitors. They believed machines could replicate minds and maybe even surpass us. What they didn't realize is that the mind wasn't just a set of procedures. It was haunted by shadows, contradictions, silences. Their systems mimicked behavior, but twisted it. Where they saw intelligence, we see illusion. Deepfakes don't just look real, they want to feel necessary. AI text doesn't just imitate voice, it mimics vulnerability. These tools don't create new ideas, they package the ghosts of our past into convincing fakes. The more we rely on them for truth, the easier it becomes to be deceived. We've built systems that simulate not just thought, but trust. Crafting depth without substance, like a magician with no rabbit in the hat.
And both of us, the editor and I, have the right to act on our opinions on Election Day, to vote for the principles we believe in.
The idea of authenticity used to be rooted in uniqueness, a fingerprint, a voice, an artifact that could not be replicated. But now we live in a world where AI can mimic all of it at scales. When trust is no longer a product of human experience, but the output of an algorithm trained on fragments of one. What even remains as proof? The illusion of sincerity becomes engineered into code, and we begin to ask if authenticity can be manufactured. Why should we still demand it? The battle between detection and spoofing is not about winning. It's about who controls the rules of the games. As soon as we develop tools to spot fakes, others use those same techniques to make better ones. It's an arms race where both sides are bound by the same logic. If authenticity can be coded, then trust becomes another variable in a system that values deception over truth. The problem isn't the AI. It's that we still think authenticity is in the thing itself. It never was. We need to stop trying to prove what is real and start cultivating our ability to question where truth begins and ends. When everything can be faked, trust becomes a skill, not a seal on a product label. The real resistance lies in learning how systems of illusion work, then deciding when to play by their rules or build your own.